Lovelies, I'm Maria, beauty vlogger for LuxePineapple. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today I'm going to be talking about the LuxePineapple On Point Glossary Box. This box includes everything you need to get your brows on point. So I'm just going to go over what will be included in the box. This box does include stencils to use, and I want to show a demo of how to use the stencils. Actually, I will have two demos to show you. One of myself using these stencils, and then one of me using the stencils on my sister. I want to give you guys two different demos to show you guys two different types of brows using the stencils, because I know not everybody's brows are the same, and it would be helpful to kind of see how they can be used on a couple different brows. Mine are a little bit more fuller brows. Obviously right now I've got them filled in and I love the way they look, but even without filling them in with powder or any kind of brow products, they are a bit thicker. So I want to show you guys how to use these stencils on someone with thinner brows. And so I did ask my sister if she would allow me to film her and show you guys the stencils on her brows as well. So you guys kind of get to see them in use on two different brows. So I hope that is helpful for you. But before I go into these demos, let me just get into the products you'll receive in this glossary box. You will get to choose your brow powder of choice, and there are 6 shades. So I do have the LuxePineapple brow powder in the shade dark brown. So this is what it looks like, and this is what is currently on my brows right now. So it's a really great match for my brows, my hair, I believe. And I do think that this can be a little bit lighter if you apply it a little bit lighter, but or darker if you apply it really dark, as you can see. So I like this, but you can choose from 6 different shades to match your brows and your skin tone, your hair, and all that kind of stuff. You will also get from Crown brush, and it has the brow brush on one side as well as the spoolie on the other side, which definitely comes in handy for brushing your brows or kind of dispersing and blending the brow powder. You'll also get to choose from one of 2 different eyebrows brow bone highlights. You will have Sahara or Petals. One is a little bit more warm tone and one is a little bit more cool tone, and I will swatch those for you guys to see a better idea of what they look like. Okay, so right here we have the brow bone highlight Sahara, and I believe this is the one that I actually used on my sister, and then this one is called Petals, and this one's a little bit more matte and lighter. This is the one I used on myself. So it's a little bit more matte. So if you want more of a matte, cool toned brow bone highlight, this one will be it. Or if you want something that's a little bit more shimmery, a little bit more warm tone, then you will want to pick Sahara. And then up close, of course, this is the brow powder. I used dark brown. And just so you can see how it is blended out slightly. Also included is a little sponge tip applicator, which is very nice for applying the brow bone highlight very precisely and adding a little bit of blending and all that kind of stuff, which you will see me do in the demos. And then of course you will get some eyebrows stencils. There are 5 included, and I will kind of go through them really quickly. You will get this. Let me see how well you can see that. Can you see it against my hair? This is called Peaked. It looks like that. Kind of, let's see it on my, there. These ones called Dramatic, and the dramatic ones are actually the ones that I am wearing on my, or used for my brows today, which you will see me demoing, but this is what they look like. Then there is the Elegant stencil. Hoping you guys can see that with the reflection of the light. And I believe this is the one I used on my sister, so you will see this one in action as well in this video. Then there is Rounded, so it kind of looks like that. And then there is Delicate. So you do get 5 different brow stencils to choose from, and you can just kind of play around with them on your eyes, your eye shape, and see which one you like best. Change up and switch up your eyebrows, you know, and it's kind of neat because even though these may not be exactly suited to how your eyebrows look right now, you can use these to kind of essentially reshape your brows to the shape you want. So if there's a shape in here that you really like, you can, you know, use the stencil to get that shape on your, on your brows that you currently have and on your, on your skin, and then tweeze around once you fill it in. Tweeze the hairs away that aren't in the stencil, if that makes sense. And I'll kind of talk a little bit about that in the demos as well. But I kind of like the idea of the stencils for that if you're trying to reshape your brows. So now that you've seen all the products in the On Point glossary box, let me go ahead and roll into the demos. Just a little peek at my brows before. As you can see, my brows are actually pretty full already on their own. I still do like to fill them in to give them a more defined look, to better shape them, because they're not perfectly symmetrical. They're as close as I have been able to get. But I'm going to show you how to use these stencils. And most of these stencils are quite a bit smaller than my natural brows already. So I think that these will be best for those with a little bit thinner brows than mine, or brows that are a little bit more sparse that need help. But still, I find that these are going to be very helpful for getting a very precise looking brow without as much effort and having to be, trying to figure out being precise on your own. I know that when I'm filling my brows in, either with a pencil or using a brush, as we will use with the stencils, I still have to be very careful about how I'm drawing my lines, how I'm filling them in, to make sure they're the same on both sides. And so the thing about using a stencil kind of takes the guesswork out of it for you and makes it a little bit easier. So the stencil I'm going to be using is called the Dramatic Stencil, and there are several different ones, as I have shown you guys already. But this is the one that I found best fit my eyebrows. So this is the one I'm going to be using, and I'm also going to be using the LuxePineapple brow powder in dark brown. And so what I'm going to be doing is just placing it on my brow here, and you can kind of see how the shape is slightly different than my brow. So what I'm actually going to do is just kind of use it on here, but I'm going to do this part first, and then I'll kind of angle it downwards once I get to the tail part of my brow. So just because the stencil goes on specifically just like this doesn't mean you necessarily have to do it that way. You can kind of twist it and move it to suit your brows or your shape, or whatever shape you want to get. Or if you don't have already full brows, you can just straight up put the stencil on and then fill in the color as you would like to do. So and that's also a good idea too, because you can do that even if you do have fuller brows or whatever the case is, and fill them in how you want. And it kind of gives you an idea of how you will grow your eyebrows out, or reshape them, say if they need to be shaped. So if my brows were a lot fuller and I wanted to just fill in this shape, then after I filled in the brow shape, I would then tweeze around all the hair that's left outside of what I stenciled in, if that makes sense to you guys. And then I'm left with just this and can have my eyebrows grow, in that shape, and kind of get them, shaped that way. So anyways, with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go into filling in my brows with the stencil, so you guys can just see how they work. So first I'm going to brush. I use a spoolie to brush them a little bit upwards. And you can see when I do this how they are a little bit more sparse. And I'm going to take the stencil. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit of powder on my brush first before I go in with the stencil. And I'm just going to be dabbing it like this. This powder is pretty pigmented, so you don't need a lot. But even if you do apply too much, you could always brush it out with a spoolie afterwards to make it look a little bit more natural. So, alright, I'm going to get that on there to the desired shape right here, and then just kind of hold it on. And I guess I'm just going to use the viewfinder for my mirror here. And just kind of pat it on. like that. So you can see it doesn't take much for that powder really to adhere to your skin and or hairs, your brow hairs. And you don't have to be too, you know, you could be a little bit messy because you do have the stencil to, you know, keep your shape in line for you. So there, I'm gonna go like this and just adjust it slightly. Okay, so now this is what I have. I'm gonna remove the stencil, and I really like this shape actually, but it's just a little bit shorter than what I like my brows to be. Obviously they extend a little bit more, and if you like it shorter you could keep it like that, like say if you wanted to trim your brows right there. I don't, so now that I've got the main stencil on here, what I'm going to do is just go ahead and just adjust it for myself and just extend some of that brow powder downwards to fill in the rest of my natural brows. And then I'm going to just go in little spots here and there where I didn't get as much pigmentation with the powder. Just lightly. As you can see, like already the difference, like how bam, like you really get good pigmentation with this, which I love with this brow powder. And it really doesn't take much effort to get a really great bold brow look. So I'm gonna zoom you guys in really quick just so you guys can see what this looks like against my brows. And so I don't know if you can tell, but part of the stencil did go on my skin, and to me, at least for me, you almost can't tell that I have no, like, that it went on my skin. It's just, it really looks, to me, at least from afar or even up close, you know, it really gives a great appearance of a brow. It doesn't look like I just drew them on. Although this is very, very dark, and I am going to blend it out to make it look a little bit more natural. And then up here, there's a spot where my brows do naturally arch up. So there is some hair here that I didn't put the brow powder on, but even still, it's not that noticeable. So if I really wanted to keep the shape, see right here is where I would go in and just tweeze those hairs away. So that way I could just keep this shape if I wanted to. So, but otherwise, even if I didn't want to do that, even without filling them in or without tweezing them, they're not that noticeable, and I still get this nice dramatic shape. Sorry, I keep going out of focus here, but if you can see what I mean. So, if you see what I mean from afar, you can't really tell that what's skin, what's hair, and whatnot. But anyways, that is quite bold. And so some of you might want to keep it bold like this, some of you may not. So you might want to soften up the edges a little bit so you don't have like a, you know, really strict, harsh line of that stencil there. So if you want to make it a little bit more softer, make it look a little bit more natural, what we're going to do is I'm going to take my mirror so I can see down here and just start brushing through what I stenciled on here. So what this is going to do is going to help pick up any of that excess powder that might just be a little bit too harsh on my brows. I'm just going to like this, and it's just going to soften up the edges of the stencil line where we left it. It just softens it up a bit. Because like I said, this brow powder is very pigmented, which I like because you don't need to use a ton, and it doesn't take a lot of effort to really get this gorgeous gold brow. Gorgeous bold brow. So yeah. And so there you have the before and after the difference. I think it makes a really great difference, and so I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, and then we will continue on with what else to do. So to do the other side, It's really simple. You're just going to take it from this way, you're just going to flip it over this way. And so I'm just going to basically do the same thing. I'm going to brush my brows. Brush them up just to make them look a little bit neater. Sorry, I'm going to get my mirror here. And brush them. Okay. Apply a little bit of brow powder onto my brush. Like I said, you just flip this over and then stick it on your brow. And what I'm doing, if you can't tell, is I'm just kind of pushing this brush just inwards, like onto my skin, and then lifting up, just kind of sweeping upwards into my hairs, onto my skin, sweeping back, just blending it kind of in with the brush, allowing the my hairs and skin just to kind of pick up the brow powder pigment color. Alright, so now I have both filled in. I really like the way this looks, actually. I know for some of you are going to be like, whoa, that's really bold, but I really like how it looks. I do. I know I've already got pretty full brows, and so again, like I said, I'm just going to go back in and fill in any spots that I feel like I didn't quite get as well. But anyways, I do have already pretty full brows. To me, I find that they are a little bit sparse in places, so I do like the look of them filled in. Honestly, I love when they're just a little bit bolder like this. That's just how I'm used to them. So anyways, I am going to go take and extend that. And on this side, see how they're not quite similar? I actually got a little bit more skin on this side, right down here, because my brows don't grow quite the same. So even with the powder on the skin, it still, in my opinion, looks good. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did on the other brow and just kind of brush them out. Brush and buff that powder in a little bit more. And then brush the brow hairs back a little bit. So here's what we have. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is take one of these little sponge tip applicators and take one of the eyebrows brow bone highlighter. I'm gonna be using the shade Petal right now, and I'm just gonna take a little bit of that here. And what we're gonna do is use this to highlight the brow bone, and also it will blend in the brow powder as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna take that. And sweep it there. And I'm even going to go on top just a little bit, not a lot. I'm going to do this after most of the product is already off the brush. This is just going to add a little bit more definition right there to the brows. And a little bit of cleanup too. I like to do a brow bone highlight to do cleanup, not only for my brows, but as well as when I'm doing an eyeshadow look. I like to do a little bit of highlight that just does a little bit of cleanup for you. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And I kind of like to do this little thing with my brows when I'm doing this. I just find that it kind of gives a little bit of help when I'm doing this. So just apply that. And I'm not sure if this is really picking up on camera or not, because it's a very light shade, but anyways, I am applying that, and I'm just using the sponge tip applicator just to do a little bit more blending and cleanup, and giving these just a little bit more of a defined yet natural. I keep saying natural, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, look to them. Alright, now I got my brows on point, as you can see, and I really like how they look. Because I do have such dark hair, I feel like it really helps just add definition, more definition to my face, and just blends a lot better. Before I fill in my brows, even though, like I said, I do have fuller brows, I just feel like my face looks just kind of incomplete because my hair is so dark, and my brows, even though are pretty full, are not as filled in and as dense as I feel like they should naturally look with my hair being so dark. So anyways, this is the completed look using the On Point Glossary Box from LuxePineapple. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Elegant Stencil and the dark brown LuxePineapple brow powder. And I'm just going to be dipping it in, just patting it like that. And I'm just going to place the stencil, just kind of figure out how I want it to look best. Just line it up and hold it there. Let's see. Let's brush it around. And then just start patting on the powder. And then lift and brow, and so you're going to obviously have to come back in and fill in a few different areas that and just kind of adjust it to your eye shape. And then what you're going to do is take the spoolie side and you're going to want to brush through it and over it just so it doesn't look too harsh. And what's great about this is that if you like this style, this look, you can go in once you've filled all this in, and I don't think you guys can see here, but if I were to zoom you guys in, there are some other hairs that are going outside of the stencil here. So if she wanted to keep this eyebrow shape, she would then know where to tweeze, what hairs to tweeze away from her eyebrows to keep this shape. Okay, and so next on that side, I'm going to take the eyebrows powder, and I'm just going to be using the shade Sahara, and just taking one of these simple little sponge applicators, and we're going to use this to kind of highlight and clean up the brow area. And so I'm just going to apply that right under the brow bone and blend. You can apply it slightly above the brow bone as well, but do it after most of the product is off of the sponge, because you don't want it too shimmery above your brows, but it'll help give you a nice blend. So you don't have any crazy sharp lines that the stencil will give you. You kind of want to blend it out a little bit so it doesn't look too, like, obviously filled in or fake looking. Okay, so then turn this way so you can see kind of the before and after difference. And so then I'll go ahead and do the other side. And to do the other side, we had it like this, so then we're just going to go ahead and flip it over, and then you're just going to do the other side. So. And you want to brush the brows, you want to brush them kind of slightly up and back. Just tap your brush back into the brow powder and line up the stencil. And then, so here's her after with filled in brows. If you guys enjoyed this demo and found it helpful, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below, or you can email me, Maria@LuxePineapple.com. And until next time, be sure to stop by LuxePineapple.com, where you'll always find a sweet deal.